Hi, and welcome to the Orange County Taxpayers Association OCTax Talk. My name is Carolyn Cavacci, and I'm privileged to be the CEO and President of OCTax. And we are so excited today because we are highlighting the City of Irvine. And our first guest this day is the Mayor of the City of Irvine, Mayor Farrah. Welcome so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're very thrilled. Love the City of Irvine. Have loved watching it grow over the years. And I always kind of like to start to find out kind of your personal story. What did you do before you ran for City Council?
Sure. I started off as being a regulatory affairs manager for a biotech company up north, and from there moved to Irvine in early 2004. And during my time there, worked a lot with nonprofits. So ended up being the executive director of a local nonprofit, which got me into a lot of the community work that happens in Irvine. And from there, went on to council.
Well, I always, something triggered you to run for council. It's usually either something happened to you personally, or in the community, or politically, or with your business. And I always love to find out, why the heck did you decide to run for City Council?
Well, I think I was pretty happy working behind the scenes. And one of the things I used to do is volunteer on local campaigns. And one of the campaigns I was volunteering on, there was a conversation about the council and who's coming up next. And I happened to mention that maybe I would be interested. And
they jumped on that? Of course they wanted you?
No, they didn't. Not only that, but they said that maybe Irvine wasn't ready for so much diversity in leadership, and that I was pretty much unelectable with a name like mine. And so that was pretty much like a challenge.
A line drawn in the sand, you're going to go for it then?
Absolutely.
Okay, and so you ran, and was that your first election when you got on City Council then?
No, so I ran for the first time in 2016.
Okay.
I did not win that campaign, but I ran again in 2018 and won that one.
A lot of people, when I ran, I also didn't get on council until my second run. I think it was good. You probably learned a lot campaign-wise and all of that. So you're on City Council now. How are you? Well, you were on City Council first and for 2 years, and one of the bigger projects I think that we all watched as a county actually was the Great Park.
Oh, yeah.
And what was going to be built and what wasn't going to be built and how it went. So you show up in 2018, a lot had happened already. So, what did you see? What are your plans now? It seems like it's kind of leveled out now a little bit. You kind of know what you're doing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when I came in, I was trying to understand what all had happened. And there was a lot that happened.
There is a lot of ups and downs. We don't need to go into the years of that.
My job was to find out how to move forward. And so that's exactly what we've been doing is, when I came on, we were just about finishing up the sports complex, which is also very important for the Great Park because it brings in revenue for the city and the park itself. But then beyond that, it was like, what is our vision to building the rest of the park? And that includes, some of the museums and other amenities for our community. So we've really been looking at what we have in our budget and building according to what we have and making sure that we have some deliverables.
Okay, so what actually are you looking for? I understand you have ice rinks out there. A friend of mine curls.
Oh yeah, that's awesome that we do that there.
I have it's on my bucket list for 2022 to learn how to curl. But so you've got like one ice rink.
We've got 3 sheets of ice there.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So you've got not only your ice hockey, but you got figure skating and curling.
Okay. So what else is going to be coming in then? I mean, I've seen the sports complex. I obviously haven't been out there to see the ice, but you have.
So sports related, we're going to have the U.S. water polo facility there.
Really?
Yes. So we're really excited about having that built up. So that should be coming pretty soon. Besides that, we're shifting our focus to the cultural terrace side. And in our couple of meetings ago, we voted on designing and repurposing some of the old hangars that are there into spaces that we can use for a museum, a library, a cultural center. One of the most exciting parts of that is, the Flying Leathernecks Air Museum closed down in Miramar. Oh. And so we jumped on that, hoping to bring them back to Irvine, because a lot of their airplanes were originally from El Toro. And so we're really working hard to make that happen.
That's great. So a lot of progress then is going to happen. Years more of building on there.
Absolutely.
That's going to be great to see. I haven't been over there in a while, but now I'm feeling like I need to take a ride over there and go in and see what's there. I know you have a really beautiful greenhouse, and I'm into gardening, so people have been telling me about.
Oh, the Farm and Food Lab.
Yes. That there's a lot of very interesting things like that over there. And I think you have a farmer's market over there as well, and that's supposed to be a really nice one. So all right, I'm going to have to try to get over there. One of the things that's not at the Great Park, though, is a veterans cemetery. And we don't need to go through the politics and the ballot initiatives and the yeses and the nos, but it looks like the county may be focusing, or they are focusing on the 91. And I understand that the Irvine Council is in support of that, or at least a majority of you are.
Yeah, we voted 4-1 to move the Veterans Cemetery to Anaheim, only because we really wanted it to be in Irvine. But our goal has always been to get that cemetery built for our veterans. Right. And since there was no compromise happening in the city, this opportunity was our next step in making sure that we delivered.
Yeah, I think a lot of us watching after a while thought it's just not going to happen in Irvine. There's just too many, I think, personal conflicts of what people want, what the community wants, what the residents want, and all of that. So it would be good to kind of get that taken care of and going forward. So we were coming out of a pandemic, and one of the things we do at OCTax is we've been monitoring a lot of ARPA money spending and what we're doing, but we've been looking at budgets as well, and so many cities' budgets just plummeted. And I know that the American Rescue Act money and then the CARES Act money kind of stepped in to cover that. But how did Irvine weather the pandemic? How has your business climate been?
You know, we did quite well. Our deficit wasn't as big as some of the other cities, so we didn't have to do any layoffs for our staff. We didn't have to cut anything that was detrimental for our city. And at the same time, year after year, we kind of saw the sales tax, even though it did dip a little bit, it didn't go down too much where it affected us. And so with the CARES Act funding and with the ARPA funding now, we're really being very strategic about supporting not only our residents, our facilities, but at the same time our businesses as well.
Right.
I think, you know, it's very important to keep that balance going.
Yeah, well, part of the dollars are focused on, I mean, you're supposed to focus out on businesses and doing that as well too. So you all didn't have to do any extraordinary measures then in your city? No layoffs, no anything? That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I'm curious, you were on the council for 2 years, and now you're the mayor. You're the directly elected mayor, and I kind of understand being a directly elected mayor. It felt different for me, and I'm curious. And I know you have a lot of programs and policies that you're very passionate about. Climate change is one of them. We'll talk about that. Do you feel the difference though from being on the council to being mayor?
There's definitely a difference. Yeah. I mean, you know, it feels like you're not only do you preside over the meetings, but then you're also kind of setting the agenda. You're kind of setting the tone of the council as well. And that's really important. It's making sure that, you know, as we get along and we have our differences, but we work through them, that we continue that as much as possible.
Yeah, I could feel a difference. I just felt, I woke up the next morning after election and I felt
there's a lot of pressure on you as well.
I felt more responsible for the city than I did when I was on the city council. And I don't know that anyone who hasn't been a directly elected mayor can understand that.
Oh, yeah.
But you definitely feel responsible. Well, I know you've been pretty good about setting goals for the city. And you have a climate change program that you're working on. You want to tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah, so one of the things that we passed when I was on council is we passed a climate action and adaptation plan, really setting goals for the city. And what was unique about ours was that we worked with our partners. So we worked with our developers, we worked with our business community, we worked with the residents. And so we got buy-in from everyone to make sure that everyone understood what we were going to set our goals to be. Because you could set goals on your own, and they can be ambitious, but if you don't have buy-in from the entire community, you're not going to achieve them.
Right.
And for me, it's always about the achievement portion. Are we going to be able to achieve it? So that was really important. And now, right now, we're working on making sure we're taking those steps that are necessary. Again, reaching out to our business community, our developers, and other partners to make sure that when we said that we want to try to be carbon neutral by 2030, that there was support for it. There was actual support in people that were already doing some of the work.
Right.
So now it's all about looking at what's already been done and where the gaps are, so we can fill in those gaps.
Well, so where are some? Can we go into detail? Because I'm curious about. Because I know you have buy-in. I'm curious about. So what are you asking your residents? Is it, you know, are you going to be? Is the city going to maybe be purchasing, you know, cleaner energy coming into the residents and the businesses? Is that part of the program?
So one of the things that we also created was the Orange County Power Authority, the Community Choice Program, and we have 4 cities on that right now. And myself and Councilmember Mike Carroll chairs it. And so with that, we're able to set some goals of converting to renewable energy.
Right.
And that's a vote that's going to be coming up pretty soon. So we'll see. I think there's a couple options that we can put out there.
Okay.
As we're moving towards 100% renewable energy, we want to make sure we're taking care of our residents
Right.
who maybe can't afford to make that switch. So we're going to give them options.
Okay, and then the builders then are just working with our building cleaner, building
Right.
lead. Is that
Yes,
how you're doing
exactly.
it now?
We have a green building certificate program that's out there, and so a lot of our businesses are participating in that. We won the actual Cool City Challenge, where we got $1 million. There's 3 cities in all of California.
Wow.
So it's us, it's Petaluma, and I'm thinking it's LA. I think it might be LA. It's the 3 cities.
Okay.
And so that gave us $1 million to really help us work on some of the issues that we need to in order to reach our goal.
That's really fun. Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that. I used to say that the city of Orange was the center of the healthcare community in Orange County, and I think it's slipping away from us a little bit because you have a lot of medical hospitals
Yes.
and offices coming in. I know the City of Hope, which is near and dear to my heart. I know the
Yes.
City of Hope is coming in as well. Who else is moving in?
UCI Medical Center. They're
Okay.
building an amazing center near the UCI campus, which will
Okay.
be coming in. So that's exciting as well.
Okay, all right. Anybody else? You have Kaiser now. You have
Hogue is
Hogue.
expanding.
Okay.
So, we're looking forward to their expansion. So that'll be great. Kaiser's already there. Memorial Care's there. So I know we might become that new hub.
I think you may be a new hub by now. Well, you always talk about, I think, about your city of innovation. And so are you, what other policies are you putting into place? Any programs you're looking at doing here in the city of
Absolutely.
Irvine?
So in December, early December, you'll probably hear about a press conference that we'll be holding.
Okay.
And it's really about not just saying that we're the city of innovation, but actually acting upon it. And that's going to take all of our big corporations and companies to come together and really create Irvine as a hub for innovation.
As well. You're obviously enjoying being there. You're liking
I am.
You are liking it? Good.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad. You have a great council too. I think we mentioned before, the one thing I'm really impressed about it is it doesn't matter what little letters after your name or where you are. You're focused on doing what's best for the community.
We are, and that's what makes it fun. So we're having a great time
I'm glad.
getting the job done.
I'm glad. Well, Irvine's always a fun city, I think, to watch. You always come up with new programs. You're not a small city anymore. You're pretty large. You're probably one of the largest cities in the county. So it's kind of fun to see. It's fun to watch your council, and a lot of us are really liking what we're seeing, I want to say.
Well, that's great to hear.
Yeah, it is. Well, congratulations. We'll be looking forward to seeing you in your second year now. I mean, you've done a lot in 1 year already.
We have accomplished a lot,
Yeah.
and it's, I couldn't have done it without the help of my colleagues. So I'm really, really glad I have the council that I do have to work with.
Yeah, good luck. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we're going to take a break right now and go to a public service announcement. And when we come back, we will be highlighting one of the mayor's colleagues on the city council, council member Anthony Kuo.
Are you a California voter that doesn't understand the basics of economics?
What's wrong with the government giving all Californians a universal basic income of $50 grand a year?
Do you think our state legislators have the power to override the free market?
I voted you in. You need to make sure I can live in a house on the beach for less than $1,000 a month.
Are you confused about who pays the majority of taxes in California?
I read the news, okay? The rich in California don't even pay taxes. It's the ones who make less than $30K a year who end up footing the bill.
If so, you may be suffering from California math. California math is an infectious disease that's spreading quickly, especially among our youth.
If $15 minimum wage in California is good, $75 minimum wage would be even better. That way everyone in California could be rich.
If you think California math adds up, Don't Tax It All may be right for you. Don't Tax It All can stop the infectious nature of California math and has even been proven to reverse the spread in those who do have California math. While millions of Californians suffer from California math, the free market remains impervious to this disease. That's why other state economic development departments are asking any Californians who want to move out of the Golden State to first get inoculated with Don't Tax It All. These states do not want California math to infect their residents.
These folks are fleeing California saying taxes are too high and there's too much government regulation, yet they start voting for the same policies here.
If California math is affecting you or someone you love, ask a doctor if Don't Tax It All may be right for you. Side effects may include common sense, frustration with our state legislators, an increase in quality job opportunities, the urge to kick someone in the shins the next time you hear them refer to California's failed tax policy as a sunshine tax. When your bottom line starts to bottom out, try Don't Tax It All.
Hi, and welcome back to the second half of our Spotlight on Irvine OCTax Talk. Now we are here with Councilmember Anthony Kuo, again from the City of Irvine. It's so good to have you here. Thank you so much.
I'm so happy to be here and always so happy to talk about Irvine.
I know. Well, I know you are like hashtag Dine Irvine, hashtag Come to Irvine. That is your, you really represent the city so well. And I want to talk a little bit about that. But first, let's talk about, you actually grew up in Irvine.
I did.
Which is unusual for a city council member in your city, at least. You know, you're the only one on the council who actually grew up in Irvine. What was that like?
Sure. Well, we incorporated in 1971. My family moved to Irvine in 78. Okay. There wasn't a hospital back then, so I was actually born in Newport Beach. But we're home to Hogue now and Kaiser. City of Hope will be opening soon. We just broke ground on UCI's medical center, and Irvine's fast becoming a hub for medical innovation and healthcare. But the city has changed a lot, and so not only am I the first member of the city council to have grown up in Irvine, I've worked for the city off and on since about 1999, so I have a pretty low employee number when it comes to employees at City Hall. And back then, it was about 1999, 2000, the city was about 120,000 people. And we just got our census numbers back, and I think we're about 307 now. So we've more than doubled in just the last 20 years. I grew up in Woodbridge, and I remember being told, well, one day Barranca will go through. It dead-ended at Jeffrey at the time. And I remember thinking, what in the world would it go through to? And it goes through to probably 2/3 of the rest of the city now. Amazing. So it's a small town feel, but it's getting bigger and bigger. And I think that's one of the challenges that we have in government in Irvine, is that so many people look at Irvine, whether you're from Irvine or from another community, and say, oh, well, it's sleepy Irvine, not realizing really it's the economic engine of the region.
Well, and I think it's interesting because there are so many communities in Irvine. It's like, you know, I grew up in University Park, the first community in the city, but like University Park felt like a small town. Woodbridge, you know, Northwood. I think that really lends itself to that small town feel, even though you're not that old, just celebrating your 50th anniversary compared to some of the cities in Central. I think that really kind of helps the community still feel small. So what is it like being on a city council of a city? You think there's like a special kind of bond with the community because you grew up there?
Well, I definitely tell people I see myself in multiple roles. One role is certainly the policy aspect, adopting budgets, working with the police department, working with Parks and Rec. But it's also, I think, that forgotten role of being a cheerleader in the community. So I jokingly tell people I really don't have a life, but I have a very vibrant life because what I do after my day job is I'll be at a PTA fundraiser or a junior high play or even a high school sports game, because I think it's important to celebrate what's going on in the community, whether it's schools or churches or volunteer organizations.
Right. So you have what I consider probably the most active social media presence of any local official I've come across in my several decades of being in the government business. What was there something that made you start that and it just kind of took off? You're very transparent about everything you do. So why are you so active on social media?
So it all started with what you talked about earlier about shopping in Irvine and dining in Irvine. I'm very keen and understanding of sales tax and where it goes. So my family ran a restaurant in Irvine for many years, Chinatown Restaurant by UCI. I was probably 83-ish to 2006-ish, 7-ish. And when we talk about the city growing, I remember going around to different parts of town, not as a public official, just as someone in the community and thinking, well, that's a new restaurant. We should tell people about it. That's a new retail store. We should tell people about it. And we should be promoting that shop local because not only are these folks employing people, but we get to keep that small bit of sales tax too. So that's actually how it started.
Okay. Well, it's gone a lot from there.
Yeah. And I think, again, it's about celebrating the community and telling people. When I talk about these PTA fundraisers where it's you're going to this pizza parlor and they're going to give back 20% of their proceeds, a lot of people, myself included, sit there at home thinking, well, what am I going to have for dinner tonight? Don't really want to make anything. Oh, well, if I go there, I get to eat, the schools benefit, you know, we're helping the local business. So putting out that information to me is fun and helpful, similar with school plays. I mean, you can spend a really, really good 10 or 15 bucks, which is less than you'll spend at the movies, on some really quality entertainment at the high school level.
Right. I love seeing you. I was just watching one of your social medias posts the other day, looking at it, and you were, I think it was a cross country team or a track team, some girls, and I thought to myself, wow, he's actually at a high school sporting event. I don't know too many local city council members who take the time to do that.
You know, I chatted about this with some business owners. So, like I said, my family ran a restaurant. Well, the restaurant business, you're busiest at dinner time. And so most of the time growing up, my parents weren't able to come to my school plays and sports and school-related things, and I don't harbor any bitterness about it. But I always want to go to these things because I want to make sure those athletes and those thespians and everybody know that someone's cheering them on, and that for me, you know, I'm not a rich person, but we all have the same amount of time. And I feel like, well, that's how I'm going to show my priorities.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, Irvine has been an interesting city to watch over the years. A lot of ups and downs, a lot of conflicts, a lot of problems. The City Council of Irvine right now seems to be in a really good zone. You know, it doesn't matter, I think, what little letter is after. I think we talked about that with the mayor beforehand. That you all seem to do really well, get along really well. How is it with this council right now? Am I seeing the correct from the outside?
I think there's a couple things going on. One is it's the pandemic. I think we all have a very singular focus of trying to protect our residents, and so there's not a lot of time to be picking fights about nitpicky things. I think that if you approach your colleagues and say, I think that you have a good perspective. Maybe we have a different approach to things or even a different end goal. But as long as you can respect your colleagues to know that they want what's best for the community, I think you can get to a good place. And, you know, there is very little partisanship on the Irvine City Council. I've got a Republican colleague, I've got Democratic colleagues, and I meet with them one-on-one. We chit-chat at City Hall. We're able to really advance a lot of interesting initiatives together. Each of us has our own kind of set of priorities, but we all work really well together.
I'm noticing a lot more transparency in Irvine as well, too, lately. In the past, things seem to have just been kind of done behind the scenes, but I just want to applaud you. I'm seeing a lot of really good transparency and accountability to the taxpayers lately, and we really like seeing that at OCTax, so thank you for that. You know, you'd mentioned the pandemic earlier, and we talked to the mayor a little bit about this, but your opinion, how did Irvine weather the pandemic? You came through it pretty well, it looks like, but how about businesses? What were you seeing when you were out and about?
Sure. Well, we have great business partners in the city. You know, Irvine has the benefit of really being home to 2 principal landowners. So when it came time to working with retail shopping centers, we were able to work with the Irvine Company and other retailers to be able to say, hey, this is something we need to do. Do you need masks? Do you need this? Do you need relief on parking?
Oh, that's interesting.
To put seating for restaurants out in the parking lots. We don't have, like Orange has the benefit of the Paseo. And it's great. I personally enjoyed coming and eating, and people were saying, well, we're going to take pictures of you, and you were eating outside of Irvine, and it's okay. But we had parking lots and restaurants expanding into parking lots. Our first round of relief money actually came through the County of Orange, and Supervisor Wagner actually allotted different monies to the cities based on population. And one of the things we did was we sent that money directly on to businesses, earmarking a significant portion to businesses that generate sales tax, restaurants and retailers and others, because we wanted to help them.
Well, Don and Supervisor Wagner did a great thing. We actually just gave him an award because of that direct allocation to cities rather than go through the county bureaucracy. So we really appreciated the fact that and then Supervisor Michelle Steele did that. Well, a lot of people don't know, you were on the Planning Commission before you were council member for quite a while. And just let's talk about the Great Park, because unfortunately, I think it's going to be decades before anybody talks about Irvine. It doesn't have to bring up the Great Park. But rather than kind of go back to the sordid history of it, what are you looking for? I mean, it's still an incredible opportunity. I know financially it's not quite what it was at the beginning, but what are you looking forward to that's coming, or that you are going to be seeing or you're pushing for out there?
So finally, Wild Rivers is coming to
that's
town.
Right.
It's going to be opening this summer. It's very exciting. It's going to be bigger, splashier, better. I do joke with people. Being a grown-up now, I'm much more looking forward to the lazy river than I am the big slides, but it's very iconic, a big part of Irvine's heritage.
Yes, it is.
And we're so lucky we were able to find them a home at the Great Park. The thing about the Great Park is, and everything, is that you're looking for balance. And so at the Great Park, we're looking for the balance of being an attraction, but also being an amenity for the local residents. So we've done a great job of working with our development partner, 5 Point, to deliver sports fields. I mean, there are 25 tennis courts, 5 sand volleyball courts, dozens of soccer fields and stadiums. And that's been really able to attract a lot of sports tournaments. It's been able to serve local youth sports organizations. We're still in talks with USA Water Polo, so Olympic rings will be calling Irvine home. And I think this next step that we are in the process of taking is addressing the cultural aspect. So we are in very, very serious talks with the California Fire Museum, Flying Leathernecks, to bring a piece of El Toro's history and heritage back to the base, because not everything is sports, but also not everything is museums. And so we are looking for that balance of trying to make the Great Park a place where everybody can find at least something.
Great. Well, you're like me. You're kind of a policy wonk. You like policy, and I've noticed lately that you've been responding to things that are happening in the community by bringing good policy up. And I noticed you had an initiative with catalytic converters that just passed recently in Irvine. It's something I think all cities need to be looking at. I have a friend in Santa Ana who's having terrible problems with that in her neighborhood. So what did you do how did the city respond to that problem?
Sure. So before this, I had no idea what a catalytic converter was. But some folks park their cars in parking lots or on their streets or even in their driveways. They leave their car there, minding their own business, and in the middle of the night, and sometimes in broad daylight, all it takes is for some no-good Nick to climb under your car, take a couple minutes, saw off a catalytic converter, and they're $300 to $500 wealthier.
It's happening all over the county.
All over. So our staff, our police, and our city attorney worked together to craft this ordinance that said if you are in possession of a catalytic converter that you're not supposed to be in possession of, you could be subject to a $500 fine. It'll be a misdemeanor. And part of why that came about was because we are subject to some California state laws. And so our officers, in fact, were pulling people over. They'd find 1, 2, 3 one case, 4 catalytic converters in someone's pickup truck, and they couldn't do anything about it. So this was one way that we gave our public safety partners the tools to pursue something further. But what I'm excited about is not just my city, but that regional partnership, because we took that initiative to the auto dealers in Irvine who said, Saturday is kind of a quiet day for us. So we're going to open our service bays for people to have their VIN numbers and license plate numbers etched onto these catalytic converters. And then we've taken our ordinance, which we've done all the heavy lifting on, and we're sending it to the other 33 cities in the county. Because we know when our neighbors are safer, our communities are safer, and we take, as you know, great pride in Irvine that we're the safest city in America for our size, 16 years in a row.
That's amazing.
And that doesn't happen by accident. It happens with really, really innovative ideas like this, where sometimes you're sitting in a room, you're throwing something on the wall and seeing if it sticks, and maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, maybe you tweak it. And so we really have a talented group in our public safety department, in our legal team, and among our community leaders to be able to bring an idea like that forward.
I think what I find so inventive and positive about like the catalytic converter is that you responded to a need and you did it in a way that was good for your community. That's something you like about policy? You get a lot of calls?
So, I remember talking to an old city manager one time who said, people think government exists to make life difficult for people, and that's really the opposite of what government exists for. Whether it's a big issue like the catalytic converters that affects many people, or even small issues. I got an email the other day about some greenery on a median, and it was overgrowing. It was kind of blocking vehicles' view of kids crossing the street. The parents didn't know if it was the HOA or the city, and we got on it. And we were able to perform that constituent work really quickly. And so whether it's the big or the little, we're supposed to be there to serve in any situation.
So we were able to get some bushes cut down then in that media?
Absolutely.
You probably shocked the moms who called you.
They were, and actually I have to give credit to our public works department. It all happened within 4 hours.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And I can tell you as a former, those will be the issues I think you'll remember the most. Those are the issues I remember the most, when you were actually able to go out into the community and do something that impacted them personally. And isn't that what you're supposed to be doing that, right?
Yeah.
As an elected official. That's great, Anthony. You also serve on the Fire Authority. I know we're kind of going to be ending our time here. And the Fire Authority is very big. Irvine's got to be one of the biggest members of the Fire Authority, aren't they? Or one of the largest cities?
The challenge is that I represent about 5% of the vote.
Wow.
But 25% of the revenue.
It's 25% now.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're dealing with some big issues. We're in negotiations with our employees right now. We're growing. We have a proposal out to Fullerton. Fullerton's going through some discussions over their finances and have asked us for a proposal. So we might be one member more in the next year or so.
Oh, interesting. Well, good. So what else is going on in Irvine as we wrap up? Anything new? Anything on the horizons? We talked about the hospitals. Any more innovation going on? Anything you're dreaming about over the next couple of years?
I'll tell you my secret dream, which is not policy. It's not government. I love the show, The Amazing Race. And I would love to get The Amazing Race to come down to Irvine and the Great Park to do something. Their last season started in Redondo Beach, and I thought, well, if Redondo Beach can host them, surely we can get these contestants to rappel off the orange balloon or something.
Yes. Well, let me know if you need any help with that, because I think that's a good idea.
We'll have you sign up to rappel off the balloon.
Well, I won't be rappelling off the balloon, but I would be more than happy to write a letter or help out. I think that would be great for Orange County and great for Irvine. Well, someone who actually grew up in Irvine as well. We both graduated from the same high school.
That's right.
Just a few years apart. Thank you so much for being here today. We were really thrilled to be able to highlight just the beautiful city of Irvine here on OCTax Talk. So thank you
so much.
And thank you so much for being with us today. If you want more information about the Orange County Taxpayers Association, education, member information, you can go to our website at OCTax.org, or please follow us for up-to-date information about what's going on at the state level with your taxpayer dollars, as well as at the cities and the counties level here. And you can follow us at OC Taxpayers. And with that, we thank you so much, and please stay tuned. We'll be back again for another edition of OC Tax Talk.